Good morning. We'll call the June 15th meeting of the Sierra County Commission to order. Clerk Shelley, would you do a roll call?
Commissioner Patten.
Here.
Commissioner Day.
Here.
Commissioner Hopkins.
Here.
Also in attendance, we have interim county manager Serena Bartu and county attorney Dave Pato.
Okay. Well, thank you. Mr. Hopkins, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico as the symbol of perfect friendship among united cultures.
Thank you, Hank. We've got several guests out in our audience today, and this meeting is being broadcast thanks to Sierra County Sentinel, Facebook, and YouTube. Those places to find this are on the agenda, and I think we have had a few constituents listening in, but we've got a pretty full gallery today. It's a nice thing. It's good to see you. Wes Hooper is with us from Eddy County. You're going to present to us later. Wes, thank you for coming over. Bring rain next time. Charlene Webb is with us, and she's our new incoming county manager. Be here July 26th, and we'll give you plenty of time to get settled before the meeting on the 27th. But Charlene's been coming over and getting with interim county manager Serena Bartu and getting adjusted and settled and meeting everybody. We're glad you could make it today. Sergeant Dominguez, the little guy hiding in the back, huh? We always appreciate having state police here with us, and we're glad to have you. And we have Mike, the computer guy. He's in here just observing and making sure that the train doesn't come off the tracks, huh, Mike? Thanks. Did I miss anybody? Okay. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor by roll call?
Commissioner Patten.
Yes.
Commissioner Day.
Yes.
Commissioner Hopkins.
Yes.
Motion is approved. How about the approval of the minutes from the May 18th meeting?
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved and seconded. No changes. Roll call, Shelley?
Commissioner Patten.
Yes.
Commissioner Day.
Yes.
Commissioner Hopkins.
Yes.
Motion is approved. Ms. Bartu, do we have any public comment?
None that's
Okay.
cited. No, sir.
Hearing none, we'll move on. Is there a motion concerning the consent agenda?
Mr. Chair, I move to approve, consent agenda items A through C as presented.
My second.
Moved and seconded. A roll call, Shelley?
Commissioner Patten.
Yes.
Commissioner Day.
Yes.
Commissioner Hopkins.
Yes.
Motion is approved. Presentations of reports and reports. Serena, you have any years of service certificates?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I certainly do. We have two from the assessor's office. I don't see them in the audience today, but we'll certainly acknowledge their years that they've given to the county. The first being Ernestina Montenegro. She has 14 years with the assessor's office.
Wow.
Yeah, so she's a long timer. The next one in the assessor's office is Nisa Usri with 4 years. So congratulations to them. In Skirta, we have Nadine Crum. Michelle, if you would come up and take it for her.
Nadine is on a much-needed vacation, so I'll accept this first. She's a phenomenal dispatcher, has over 20 years' experience from another state, so we're very fortunate to have Nadine. So, thank you.
Thank you, Nikki.
And last but not least, it's Thomas Crawford. He has 2 years with the landfill department, so we certainly appreciate him as well.
And Thomas had a doctor's appointment today, so he couldn't make it, but he's a very good employee, shows up on time and does a good job.
Thanks, Bill. Gentlemen, would it be okay with you to transpose B and C?
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Sheriff, would you like to approach the podium?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, if I could get Deputy Raquel, could you please? On March 27th, 2021, Deputy Marina Raquel was dispatched to the area of I-25 near milepost 66 in reference to a wrong-way driver. The vehicle was described as a golden tan colored Chevy Suburban bearing Ohio plates. 911 calls continued to come in regarding several vehicles which had been run off the road, and just prior to her arrival, a report was received that the vehicle had turned around near milepost 68 and was now traveling in the correct direction. She proceeded in her attempt to locate the vehicle, and upon arriving at the southernmost county line of Sierra County near milepost 51, she exited the interstate and proceeded to the junction of State Road 187. She then traveled north towards Array on the old highway, and upon approaching milepost 15, she discovered a vehicle matching the suspect's description. She also witnessed a male subject who was walking around a mobile home adjacent to the roadway and decided to stop and investigate further. She did confirm that the vehicle had out-of-state plates, and upon making contact with the male subject, he did admit to being the one who was going or traveling the wrong direction on the interstate. The individual appeared to be confused and disoriented and was having trouble maintaining his balance. He continued to state that he was attempting to get some gas at this store, but that no one seemed to be around. Recognizing that something was not right with the subject, she requested that an ambulance be dispatched to her location. The subject continued to inform her that he was prepared to take whatever citation that she wanted to give him if he felt that she needed to issue him one. She informed him that she was more interested in his current health situation than issuing citations. EMS personnel arrived a few minutes later and began assessing the individual's health issues. Unable to find anything wrong physically, Deputy Requejo continued to urge him to allow EMS to transport him to the hospital for further evaluation. After several minutes of persistent reasoning, the subject agreed, and while he was being transported to Sierra Vista Hospital, Deputy Requejo made arrangements with the property owner to allow his vehicle to remain upon the premises until he or a family member could return to recover it at a later date. Upon arriving at the hospital, the subject was immediately loaded aboard an air medic evac helicopter and transferred to El Paso. Deputy Requejo received an email from the individual's son approximately 2 days later from the incident, informing her that his father was actually having a stroke during that time. Medical staff had informed him in El Paso that his father had not made it to the emergency room on that day and had been treated, that if he had not received the treatment that he was able to get, that he would in fact probably not have made it through the end of the day. It was in fact the persistent encouragement from Deputy Requejo that resulted in his willingness to seek further treatment and ultimately save the life of this individual. Too many times we in law enforcement focus on the criminal elements of these type of incidents and overlook the immediate health effects that could in fact be the cause. It's with great pride that I'm able to share with you, the Board of County Commission, and those Sierra County citizens who are in attendance today, such a story of a dedicated public servant, a compassionate law enforcement professional, and an outstanding example of the type of community-minded public safety experts we here in the Sierra County are so fortunate to have in the ranks at the Sheriff's Office. It's my distinct honor and my distinct privilege to award Deputy Sheriff Marina Requejo the Sierra County Sheriff's Office Life-Saving Medal. Henceforth, let it be known that you are hereby authorized to affix and display the life-saving ribbon upon your official uniform at all times while on official duty. Your selfless commitment to the lives and the property of our citizens and visitors of Sierra County bring distinct honor to you, the Sierra County Sheriff's Office, Sierra County, and the great state of New Mexico. Congratulations. Thank you. Mr. Chairman, I give you Deputy Sheriff Marina Raquejo.
Deputy, would you like to make the rounds? We'd like to shake your hands for serving and protecting. Thank you very much. Good job.
Good job.
That's an example of what law enforcement is supposed to be. That's great. We'll start with department reports. Billy, I see you hiding back there, but come on up. Yeah. Good things happening in road department.
Yes, there is. Well, so far we've had some continued progress on our projects that we have going. Right now we have a couple of miles of rechip that we're going to be doing. Next week, the 22nd, 23rd, we'll be rechipping 4 different roads off of 187, the old Ladder Ranch Road, Paloma Blanca, King Canyon, Hidden Valley Raceway Road, and Golf Road. So we're trying to finish up a little bit of base course this week, and we'll be rechipping those next week. We got 3 low water crossings to finish in Percha, which will be chip sealing July 27th and 28th. We still have all the base course to haul out there too, which is a little over a mile, so it's going to take a little time, but I think we'll get it done. We've been a little short-handed. One of our employees moved on, and we hired a new employee yesterday. So hopefully that'll help us start getting caught back up on our blading end of everything.
Good.
We got all of our paperwork done last week for the TPF, which is a transportation fund, project fund. We're asking for $900,000 for the Bridge of Grace revamp, kind of widening it, putting some bigger box culverts in it. Hopefully that'll solve our problems there. We have some pretty big issues there when it rains pretty hard. And other than that, I think that's about it. We're trying to get some dump trucks bought too, but we're running into a few legal issues there, so we're gonna have to put them out to bid. And hopefully we can get those going pretty soon.
I see that we have one dump truck on the agenda today. Maybe you'll be able to get one, so.
Oh, we do, but we might be having to table that also.
Okay,
So
all right. Is your grader that was vandalized back in service?
it is not. It's still we're waiting on the insurance on that. I know I just received a bill today for some rental, because we do have a rental blade that we're using, but need to get with Laredo on that later today and get with the insurance. We need to get that sped up because it's just sitting in El Paso right now,
Yeah.
waiting on insurance.
Yep. Do we have an alternative to cat keys for the door?
Not really, no. We could put some hasps on there, but if they went in there, I think they're going to get in.
Yeah, they'll bust a window out. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's just too bad.
yeah. And we do have battery cutoff switches in there, and they're kind of hard to find. So if somebody wants in there, they really got to know what they're doing to get there. So, yeah, whoever vandalized that knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any questions,
Questions?
Commissioners? Thank you, Billy.
All right, thank you.
Let's see. Ryan Williams, come on up.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, Manager Bartu. First, I'd like to appreciate you giving me adequate time to prepare for this report, seeing as last time I was 26 hours into the new position. So it's given me ample time. In response to the last report, I've been meeting with a lot of the area fire chiefs, going out to the locations, getting eyes on their equipment, what their needs are, what open action items they have. Been doing really well. They're meeting with Ray Mullins from Caballo this Thursday, and they'll be the last one to make contact with. Didn't really having a good time meeting with our personnel. The first week we had PPE distribution that we had received from the Department of Homeland Security. We divvied that up between all departments, even road department, detention center. That way everyone's stocked and have an ample supply of PPE, which is really good with the help of Manager Bartu and Larita, and the whole team came together and did a great job. Right after that, the Drummond and Trujillo fires started near Kingston. We've been doing a lot of town hall meetings, a lot of support. Commissioner Diaz attended, with the Sheriff Hamilton both times. It's been really good. It was a big comfort measure for the community, seeing as the fire was close. But Forest Service has done a stellar job with the structure protection plan that they put together. It's a great plan. So it'll be in my hands, Kingston's, and Hillsborough. So in the event we have a future incident, then we'll have everything dialed in. They did a great fire line break. They thinned a lot of fuels around Kingston. The last meeting they provided drone footage, which was really incredible for the town. It gave them a perceptive of how far the fire was, and it gave them the security and the comfort of knowing that the fuels were thinned out. March 22nd, a lot of the county personnel supported Spaceport America's Virgin Galactic's flight to space, which was a first for New Mexico, a manned space flight. We had service to hospital units, TRC Fire brought an engine in. Sierra County SO showed up, and Sierra County Emergency Management. It was good. We've been waiting on that for a long time, so it was good for the county to have a first manned space flight out of New Mexico. That's to be the third state in the nation, followed by California, Florida, and now New Mexico. Water donations, deliveries. With the help of Denise Addy, we've stocked all fire departments with cases and cases of water for the wildland season. They're packed to the gills. It's hard to walk between apparatus at this point, and there's actually more on the way. So if there's any other agencies, sheriff's office or anyone, yeah, they're packed to gills too. They're turning us away left and right. But just want to make sure we're good. And some of the community centers and other areas we've kind of helped out just in case for evacuations in Kingston. So yeah, they're turning me away for water. They don't want any more. It's it's interesting. Met with fire marshals. They've been coming down. We're just kind of getting everything together, getting my footing dialed in. So we're doing well on that. We're moving forward. Let's see. And then last week, June 11th, we did a PM on the generator on Tank Hill. Found out that the alternator was done. So we have Buttiger that came out, brought a replacement, a backup generator. And this was right in the time when we were working on one transformer in the city or TRC. So we just wanted to make sure our contingency plan was put together in case we lost power due to the high heat. And Mr. Tooley helped out greatly with that during radio checks. So it's good. We will get parts in probably sometime this week, and then the original backup generator will be back online in the event of power failure. And that one runs all of dispatch and other communications for TRC Fire and all county frequencies. So if we would have lost that during our one transformer, output, that would have been detrimental to all emergency response for the county. But Buttiger has really helped out there for us. And then we had a new start on June 13th on the Caballo Mountains due to the lightning storm and moisture that we received through there. I don't know if anyone saw it. I know a lot of people were affected on it floating the river. And it went through and started right below the tower on the west aspect, right below the towers. And it kind of bedded down that evening, received a lot of moisture. And then Forest Service sent air attack over on the 14th to fly over. They didn't see any smoke, didn't see any flames. Kind of figured it bedded down, but a BLM engine was up there scouting. They got eyes on it. They hiked in due to the terrain, and it's 1/10 of an acre received heavy fuel, so it's kind of skunking around in there in the rocks and the greasewood, but they're actually up there right now working it. But due to the minimal fuels, the height, the terrain, it's the rate of spread is very minimal at this time. So if anyone sees any smoke on caballos, maybe something small. Tenth of an acre is not going to produce much, but it gets people's tails a wagging when they see smoke on the nearest mountain forest. But that's being addressed at this time, and I'll update anyone with any new information I hear. And then right now, my last item is, due to the high temps, low relative humidity, our winds, for the next week, we're going to hold off on burn permits, issuing those out. We're in accordance with TRC, Elephant Butte. We're all kind of following each other. These high temps are rough, and we're not going to allow it in the morning either, just because sometimes the conditions are favorable, but we want to make sure there's no residual coals for the afternoon and being an unintentional start later on in the afternoon. So we're just holding off. We're explaining to people why. Haven't had any friction with it. Everyone's pretty understandable that we're going through a heat wave, and there's no sense to burn at this point because we can keep our neighbors and our country safe. And that's really it on my items. Anyone have any questions?
Commissioners? None. Thank you, Ryan.
Cool. Thank you.
Spike, are you here for Ernie? Yes, sir. Okay, come on up.
Morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Morning, Richard. As you know, Ernie's over there with Jocelyn at Ray. They're looking at their property. I guess they're going to start working on it. We had a dispatch. We had an incident. The AC started working. So they were asking about $8,000 to get a new one. So we decided to put some window units for now because we're only going to be there for 6 months. So we spent less than $1,000 on that. And then Hillsboro, they started working on the steps right now. They're doing, I think it's Smithco is working on the steps. And we've been getting calls from up there that we've been fixing their toilets. I guess that nobody was using them for a while. So now they're flushing them and they've been leaking. So we've been going up there fixing them. Yesterday we put one of their flags up because their pole, I guess the rope broke. So we went and did that. And then at the courthouse, last week we had a water leak. So they've been working on it as a 3-inch pipe, copper. He couldn't get it fixed, so he's probably got to come back and fix it. And then we've just been cleaning and maintaining our buildings. And Ernie was on vacation for 2 weeks, so it's just been me and Mike. And then this week Mike is off, so it's just been me. So I've got nothing else. Any questions?
Questions, man?
No.
Thank you, Spike.
Thank you.
Keep it going, okay? Mr. Lee, the compliance man.
Good morning. Okay, misdemeanor compliance, mostly just data for you today. We have 318 total people in our programs. 54 of those are on DWI probation, 38 of them are on misdemeanor probation, and this is where the number just always shoots way up. Our pretrial compliance program has 203 clients, and we have 23 on electronic monitoring. I asked my pretrial compliance officer to get me some data that I thought you would find interesting. As of yesterday, the jail's head count was 59. 42% of all of the people incarcerated by Sierra County were on pretrial compliance, violated their conditions of release, and were reincarcerated. Now, those same people have probably, first of all, they get 2 or 3 warnings unless they pick up a new charge. So that, and this is a repeated process. We violate the conditions, they go to jail, they get out of jail, we violate the conditions, they go to jail. The courts have the authority, even with the new Supreme Court rules, that violation of conditions of release are one of those things where they can keep them in. Particularly when the pandemic was, at its peak, they didn't want to do that. So now more are going to jail and are not getting back out. But I'd still say the vast majority that if I was to look at that list, will say, no, they're going to be out again in another week or so. And it is a hamster wheel. We have great treatment programs. We can't, part of the problem with pretrial is we cannot order them to go to a treatment program or a behavioral health program. That can't happen until they're convicted and sentenced, at which point the court can order them into a treatment program or a behavioral health program. And with that information, I'll stand for questions.
Thank you, George.
Awesome, thank you.
Virginia Lee, you want to tell us all you know?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, Ms. Manager, the report I gave you were our stats from yesterday. There were 59 in custody, 50 in Luna, 5 in Socorro, 4 in Department of Corrections because they need a higher level of care. Our stats last month, there's a breakdown. Our maximum count was 64. Our minimum was 52. Our average was 56, which is still kind of high, which you will see reflected on our housing bills. DWI arrests, last month there were 4, 2 firsts, 2 ags, and then there's a breakdown of how much money we spent for housing last month. And COVID-19 is still the same. We're still cleaning before every transport, after every transport, before and after every booking, and after every inmate's been in the jail. A couple more interesting stats. Our recidivism rate, has been up to like 95, 96. Our recidivism rate, and I just did the last 2 years, 20 and 21, currently right now is 80%. So our recidivism rate is still high. Our violations, people then there on failure to comply, or violations or failure to appear or failure to pay is 63%, which is kind of high. And those that are currently in custody that are sentenced, there's 4. 4 of them are currently sentenced. As far as our programs and our grants, we have 33 people in grants right now. 3 of them have been rearrested, which I believe is about 9%, which is a lot better than 80%. So if we could get more people in programs, we would hopefully have a better recidivism rate. And then I've attached Lisa's report from the RISE, the COSAP, the BIZ programs, and what they're doing. The last couple of pages on that is the breakdown that shows how many are in compliance that are in our program, how many are in housing. Right now we have 8. How many people, they took 63 people to therapy appointments this week. They had 151 people attend group therapy. So they're very active. We have 3 people on the MAT program in town, which is basically opioid treatment, medicated assisted treatment. But we were put in contact last week with a new organization that will also do MAT for meth and for alcohol. So we are working with Luna County to see if we can start this program while they're actually still in custody. It's really, really good. We have 3 FDA-approved drugs for alcohol prevention so that when they drink after they're on this program, it actually makes them sick. So we are hoping that this will be a good help for people we get into this program. One of the other things the grant is doing is trying to help people not overdose on medication. So we've ordered a bunch of these pill minders, and they are a breakdown where you can see all the pills, and you can set it for how many times a day you need to take them. Once a day, twice a day, 3 up to 4 times a day, and then it automatically just gives you that amount. So if you say, did I take my pills or not, this will not give them to you once it's passed. So you can't get into it, and it locks. So a care provider can set it up. We got it thinking of all the seniors in town, but then we realized there's an awful lot of people who aren't senior citizens who may have other issues or behavior health issues or just memory issues. At any rate, I have a couple today. We'll give them out to absolutely anybody who needs them. I've got another half a dozen in the car. Olive Tree, I think, has 100. So if you need any, help yourself or get in touch with me or Lisa, and we will get these to whoever can benefit from them to try and prevent accidental overdoses. And I will stand for questions.
Questions? No. Thank you, Virginia.
Thank you, Virginia.
Mickey?
Good morning, Mr. Chair, Commissioners, Manager Bartu. It's been a little busy with SCRTA. I'm proud to say last Friday I attended the Law Enforcement Academy, and our last 2 non-certified dispatchers are now certified public safety telecommunicators, as the state classifies them as. So SCRTA is not only fully staffed, we're all fully certified. And now that I have everybody certified, except for the 2 new ones, after the next fiscal year with the state funding, I'm going to push all of our, start courses online and have all of the SCRTA 911 dispatchers be tactical dispatchers as well, which is a lot of education, and it's training that's going to benefit everybody on any kind of incident within Sierra County, and they can actually use it outside of Sierra County. I have a SCRTA board meeting tomorrow at 10 o'clock. Unfortunately, 2 weeks ago during our heat cycle, SCRTA's HVAC system went out. So because that we're moving, I'd really like to thank the county, Spike and Mike at the time. We went ahead and instead of using thousands of dollars to either replace or attempt to fix that system, we put in some window units until we move, because there was no use in spending $6,000 for a new system that we're not going to be there in 6 months. So I really thank Spike and Mike for helping us on that. If you've passed by the new building, the new generator is now there. It's not as big as the tower, but it's now installed, and actually my contractor Apex is started today. They came in today, and they're going to be starting some of the cabling and wiring for the IT room and get ahead of that. So, and the only updates I have, since Memorial Weekend up until this last weekend, we have been extremely busy in dispatch with lake traffic. Extremely busy with lake traffic in dispatch. So we've got Father's Day weekend coming up this weekend, and then in 2 more weeks, 4th of July. So I will be planning on having at least 3, if not 4, dispatchers on duty for the holiday weekends for 4th of July. But that's all I have. If you have any questions?
Your equipment room still air conditioned?
My equipment room has a separate AC unit that is hooked up to my generator, the current generator. I actually have a redundant system to that. I have the new Mitsubishi system that takes care of it. If that was to go down, we have to also have another backup window unit if that was to go down. I'll do the same in the new building. We'll have that AC unit in the IT room on top of the another redundant system. That's the one room we can't afford to go down. And in bringing that up, we are going to be busy. The PSAPs, the 911 PSAPs in the state of New Mexico are getting ready to do the prefix 988 conversion nationwide, meaning we have to be prepared for it in October. Starting in July of 2022, there's no such thing as a local call anymore in the nation. And it's a good thing. The 988, it's like 911, except for 988 is for the suicide hotline nationwide. But because of that new prefix, if I was to call from my office to call administration, I have to dial 575, as well as everybody else. Your cell phones, you're going to have to put the prefixes in, your local prefixes. There will be no longer a 7-digit code. They're all going nationwide. By July 2022, we convert to the 10-digit codes, even local. So I'll do a little education the closer we get that for a community awareness. Some people have already heard of this. A lot of people haven't. So if by July 2022, if you were to call a local office, you'll get that recording. I'm sorry, you have to hang up and dial 575 or dial 505. So and that's nationwide, and that's a huge education process to teach millions of people all over the country that it's now a 10-digit. So that's an adventure. And we have to convert our 911 system as well as our local Rolodexes. Everything in SCRTA, everywhere else, has to be converted into 10 digits instead of 7.
Progress.
Yeah. But that's all I have.
Okay, well, thank you.
Thank you.
Travis Atwell. I see you hiding back there in the back.
I try.
You need Sarge sitting in front of you.
Yeah, exactly. I went and visited Cantrell Dam yesterday because the Village of Williamsburg still has great concerns about it.
Yes.
TRC has actively been working on it. Right now, the dam itself's been built up at least 4 feet higher, and they're currently still cleaning out the silt. They've got a good amount of silt already cleaned out of it, so it's looking a lot better. So I sent pictures to Serena and to Williamsburg yesterday. Other than that, construction is still booming in this county. A lot of new homes are going up. We've got some in Animas. Elephant Butte's getting a lot of new structures built right now. And I attended the PFF meeting for Bridge of Grace with DOT. So that one actually got sent back to our engineer because they wanted final cost because they didn't have traffic control in it. So there'll be another meeting on Bridge of Grace. And that's really all I've got, unless you have questions.
Questions? Thank you, Travis.
Thanks.
Charlene, did you have anything that you wanted to share with the group or the commission, other than observing and getting ready?
Just happy to be here, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to.
Well, thank you for
Sierra County, so I'm looking forward to it.
for coming over today. Sheriff, you've got Deputy Raquejo's award done. Did you have anything to share with the commission?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. I'll be brief. We just graduated one from the Law Enforcement Academy last month. So he's currently going through his 10-week FTO program, learning how to apply all those skills in a real-world setting. Once we get him done, he'll be out on his own. We've got one vacancy, and I'm hoping that the undersheriff will probably be getting with HR by the end of this week and setting up interviews to determine who will be placed in that position. I've been monitoring the Drummond fire, been working with the Forest Service pretty close with the folks up in Kingston. Again, I think within the first week or so, 10 days, it went up to 500 acres, and I think it's now at 501 acres. They've received almost an inch of rain up in that area there, and did quite a bit to knock that down. And considering what it was burning up there, again really wasn't much of a threat, but the Forest Service has been working diligently in their efforts there to get a lot of that stuff cleared and make sure that they keep it south of 152. The big concern was if it jumped across the roadway there, that it had some new stuff to burn. So they're currently managing that, and again, they're staying in constant contact or close contact with my office as well. So I appreciate everything they're doing up there and all their efforts, but specifically that they're continuing to communicate with my office and all of the county officials for that matter. Labor Day weekend, pretty uneventful for us. The state police did a wonderful job, and putting their guys out on the interstate on the travel days. That really cut down on a lot of those calls that we would normally be getting for crashes. Sometimes just the presence out there can keep those individuals that are either in a hurry to get there or in a hurry to get back home, to keep them safe and under control out there. So again, my hat's off to the state police and all of the local law enforcement. We get together before these big holiday weekends and kind of draw those lines of delineation as to what we're going to be handling and what they're going to be handling. And I think it's those lines of communication that we keep open that really contribute to the success that we have on these big weekends. So again, thank you to the state police and to all of area law enforcement for their willingness to participate in those meetings. And again, I think it's a little more streamlined now. So with that, I'll stand for any questions.
Questions? Thank you. Thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
PHI Air Medical, Ms. Bartu.
Mr. Chairman,
Hello.
we have a Zoom presentation, so, there she is.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay. I'm just sharing my screen. So, hello, thank you for having me. My name's Jillian Manley. I'm with PHI Air Medical. And we're the local air ambulance in Albuquerque, Socorro, Grants, Tucumcari, and we have another base in Stafford. And basically, this is an overview about the services that we offer in your area, but also the county-wide agreements that we do with counties. We actually have some in Union Harding, and we have a contract out with Quay County right now as well. So, but But just a little bit of information about the industry. There's over 500,000 flights every year, and that equates to one flight every minute in the air medical industry. And our company has been around since 1949. We started in the oil and gas industry. And in 1981, we expanded into air medical, and we've been in the New Mexico area since 1998. And we provide education and outreach and services to the local communities. This is just a little information on our company profile. We have over 1,200 employees and 60 membership bases where we offer membership for residents and households. And then an additional 23 traditional bases that are actually hospital programs where the helicopter is actually part of the hospital. On all of our at all of our bases, we have a paramedic, a nurse, a pilot, a mechanic, and a medical doctor that we consult with. And we're available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days of the year. On a lot of people don't realize that our helicopters are actually similar to flying ICUs. We have over 30 medicines on board. We have ventilators, IV pumps, and whole blood and night vision goggles for safety. So we're actually treating the patient en route to the hospital in flight. And what we typically transport for are traumas, cardiac, neuro, high-risk OB, burns, and pediatrics. So I know the Sierra Vista Hospital is I think it's a level 4 hospital. So most patients would need to be transported to a higher level of care, and that's what we do. We also do a lot of scene calls. We have a communication center and coordinate with the local hospitals on the best location for each transport, meaning if a hospital specializes in burns, then we'll take them to that hospital as long as it's a higher level of care. And also, if it's an interfacility transport, the patients can actually make a request as long as it's a higher level of care and it's approved by the doctor. So these are the areas where we're located. We are in Albuquerque, Grants, Socorro, and then there's another base that services you out of Safford, Arizona. And each base has a 200-mile radius where they can fly. So as you can see from this map, we have 4 helicopters, 3 helicopters that cover you fully, and then 1 helicopter that covers most of Sierra County. And then we have our membership program. The way it works is we cover all out-of-pocket costs. So if a member's transported by PHI, they won't have any co-pays or deductibles or anything else. In fact, if we know that the patient's a member, we won't even bill them at all. But we do ask that members let us know if they've been flown so that we don't send them a bill. But if we do, then we'll just waive the bill once they let us know that they're a member. We have no limit to the number of times a member can be flown or transported by PHI, and there's no financial limitation. So if the flight is, thousands and thousands of dollars, then there won't be a limit to that amount. The membership program that we have for individuals is we either cover a household or an individual based on the membership type. You've probably seen, I don't know if you can see this, but this is the PHI sticker that a lot of cars have on them throughout New Mexico. It shows that they're a member. But in addition to that, we also offer group, citywide, and countywide agreements. So like I said, right now we have countywide agreements with Union and Harding in New Mexico. We also have some in Texas, Delaware, and Hartley. And then actually there's about 12 other contracts throughout Texas. Quay County has requested an agreement. But what we're proposing is to cover all 2,949 households in Sierra County for pickup. So all residents, so all 11,000 residents would be covered for pickup with no out-of-pocket costs. And they would be picked up. It's a limited coverage agreement. So the coverage would include pickup originating from Sierra, Socorro, Catron, Grants, Luna, Doña Ana, Otero, and Lincoln counties. So it's basically any county that touches your county. And then if a resident wanted to upgrade to national membership, which would cover them throughout all the states that we're located in, where we have bases, it would be an additional $45 on top of that. So the coverage would be $8 per household for 23,592, and that would cover all residents from any out-of-pocket cost in the event they are flown by PHI Air Medical. So that's basically it. Do you have any questions?
Yes, this is Jim Paxton, I'm the chair. Is that an annual commitment, 23,000 and such?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's once a year. And we have seen, some people have looked into the CARES Act funding to cover it initially, but it is an annual.
Questions, commissioners?
No, thank you.
Okay, well, thank you for your presentation. We'll consider it as a commission.
Okay.
Appreciate your time.
All right, thank you.
You bet. Mr. Hooper, you want to tell us about the Arrowhead NMSU study?
Sure.
Thank you for coming over.
Well, thank you for the opportunity to present this to you. Would you like a copy?
Yes. Thank you.
Mr. Chair and Commissioners, again, thank you for the opportunity to come over and present this Arrowhead study. Basically, the reason why Eddy County hired Arrowhead NMSU to put this together was because every time that we go to the legislative session in Santa Fe, we always try to talk to the legislators outside of our area and try to get support and reinvestment back into southeast New Mexico. And a lot of the times they're asking us the question, well, what is that going to do for the constituents in my area? You know, and so we went back, and one of the commissioners, Commissioner Carlson, which he's usually here to present with me, but he had a commission meeting in Eddy County this morning, so he was unable to come. But said, why don't we put a study together so that it's in black and white, and we can show that reinvestment back into southeast New Mexico not only helps southeast New Mexico, but helps the whole state. All 33 counties benefit if there's reinvestment back into that area. And so they got this study put together, and it was very interesting to me. If you turn to the second page there, it shows the top 5 counties in the state, which basically there's only 6 counties out of 33 that have a net positive number when you look at revenues compared to the expenditures. The other interesting thing when you look at it is when you go from second highest to third highest, there's a huge drop there. Lee County in southeast New Mexico's net number is $80,775 per person, and that drops all the way down to $15,417 per person in Los Alamos. And then the 6th county that's not listed there is Rio Arriba County, and they have a net positive number of $314 per person. So in this study, the nuts and bolts of the whole thing, if you turn to page 26 and 27, that basically has the spreadsheet showing each county what their net contribution is and what their expenditure is, and then of course it gives you the total on the far side. And everything before page 26 and 27 basically gives an explanation of how they came up with those numbers and what was used to come up with those numbers. And then everything after page 27 is just spreadsheets breaking each of those individual revenue items and expenditure items down. So we've been given these presentations all over right now we've given a whole bunch in southwest New Mexico, and the commission's asked me to take it throughout the state and get in front of anybody that'll listen. But it's been real interesting. We've got a lot of good feedback from southwest New Mexico. I'm interested to see what happens when we get up north. We've been looking at a lot of other things too, like the green energy, what it's producing. And one of the things that people don't realize is green energy is great, but it does not produce the revenues that oil and gas does. I mean, you're not taxing the wind and you're not taxing the sun. And so there's a real loss there as far as the revenues that are going to be generated for the state and for, the local communities and local governments. But one of the things that Commissioner Carlson always tells everybody is he would like to see, rather than spending money, I guess the state's going to put two committees together to kind of look at green energy and what it's going to do and how they can enhance it and that type of thing. But one of the things is they're so negative on oil and gas, and we need better education in that area. I think that one of the things that oil and gas has probably dropped the ball on is educating the public on the things that they're doing, the emissions and how they're controlling that type of thing, and what they're providing to our communities in the state of New Mexico. And so we're talking to them too about putting campaigns together to show, like for example, Exxon is putting $1 billion into a carbon capture project in Houston, so they always are working towards those types of things, making their what they're doing cleaner and more efficient. And Commissioner Carlson would like to see the state put more effort into those types of things rather than dropping oil and gas all at once. Our governor she wants to go from, for example, everybody rode horses and used horses for transportation. Well, it took years and years to make that transfer over to automobiles. They're wanting right now to shut it completely down and not have any of it and just revert over to green energy. And it doesn't work that way. Everything's just got to, I think it'll move that way, but it's going to be slowly, and there's a lot of other issues out there that need to be taken care of before you just shut one industry completely down. If you look at the funding, 70% of the whole state's school funding comes from southeast New Mexico in oil and gas. So when you shut that down, what are you doing to our schools, our educational facilities? It would be to a point. What do you do? Are you going to fire your teachers, or are you not going to have the books needed, or whatever it is? But our biggest thing right now is trying to get reinvestment back into southeast New Mexico to get the infrastructure in place, not only to help support the industry, but to help our community members. We had a population increase in the boom. Our population went from about 25,000 in the county to 100,000. And if we can keep those people there by creating a better quality of living than where they came from, then that's going to also help whenever you have the booms in the bus. It'll help even that curve out so that the state prospers a lot better, and we're not just dependent on oil and gas. We've got more diversification in that area. So one thing that we gave this presentation to the Hidalgo County Commission, and the attorney, which he's here today, asked if we could get a resolution put together in support of reinvestment back into southeast New Mexico. So we do have that on hand, and I can send it over to him, and if you all would look at it and see if we could get your support there. And we're going to get all those put together and send them up to the governor, and hopefully get a little bit of change going on up there to help the state. So I'll stand for any questions.
Well, we'd appreciate you sharing that resolution with Attorney Pato, and we'll sure take a look at it. Questions, Commissioners?
I have a couple, if I may. First off, thank you for the presentation. I'm just curious, how has the Biden administration's moratorium on drilling on federal lands impacted your county financially?
So it's impacted it greatly, and a lot of it's more on the gross receipts side. What's happened is they've just moved right outside the border. I mean, as soon as when you head south out of Carlsbad going towards Pecos, as soon as you cross that state line, you know it. I mean, the traffic increases significantly. There's drilling rigs everywhere. What they've done, there was over 780 duck wells in New Mexico in Eddy and Lee County. And basically, what they're doing now is just going in and completing those wells. So they're all drilled, but they haven't been fracked. And so now, basically, all they're going in and doing is getting those wells up and going. The rig count in the nation's going up, the rig count in Texas is going up, and the rig count in New Mexico is going down every day because they just can't. They've got two deals going against them. They got the federal government and our state government going against them, and so it just creates too much of a liability on their business to invest in this state right now. But it's a tough deal.
That's sad.
It really is.
And thank you for that answer. And it just amazes me. You know, I've always learned never bite the hand that feeds you. Yeah. And I believe oil and gas contributes about 40% of the state budget. And, you know, certainly as conservatives, I've never argued against renewable energy and diversifying our energy sources. I don't think anyone's arguing that. Right. But the fact that the state leadership in Santa Fe is saying, we're not going to come to the table with you, we just want oil and gas to go away, I think is a ridiculous claim. And I'll be honest, I've heard from some oil companies that said, look, the state, they're going to keep calling their bluff. We'll just go across state line and we won't come back. Right. And I think it's going to happen eventually. Yeah. So thank you for the presentation, and I certainly look forward to seeing that resolution.
Sure. So that's the other thing that we saw probably in 2010. Down in our area, there was a lot of local oil and gas companies. But whenever the boom came in and fracking came in, that's whenever we started seeing the Exxons and ConocoPhillips and Chevrons. They were pulling money out of the Middle East and coming to southeast New Mexico, and now they're leaving, you know, and it's not a good thing. So.
Well, we will certainly look at participating and sending a resolution, so thank you for that.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Any other questions, gentlemen?
Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation and for coming over.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ray Pierce is with us from Wildlife Services, but we're going to hold until we get to his topic on the agenda. Is there a motion or discussion on the Board of Finance May reconciliation?
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the May reconciliation.
A second.
Moved and seconded. A roll call. Shelley?
Commissioner Paxson?
Yes.
Commissioner Day?
Yes.
Commissioner Hopkins?
Yes.
Motion is approved. Ms. Bartu, we have no old business, is that correct?
Yes, sir. No old business.
So we will go to the new business. Appointment of freeholders Patrick Garay, Richard Sines, and Creedon Coyle to view Evergreen Street, Maple Street, Simpson Road, and an unnamed road in Kingston for possible vacation. Do we have any discussion on this?
Mr. Chairman, I believe in your packet you have a letter from Bob McNeil requesting consideration of the board's appointment of freeholders to consider the vacation of the property. If you recall, the statutory process at 4th and 6754 is that if you all make a preliminary determination that the road is no longer needed or that the burdens exceed the benefits, then you all can appoint the 3 freeholders to go out and examine the road and determine whether or not it's needed. They'll prepare a report, come back to you at the next commission meeting, and then you can take action on it at that time.
Attorney Pato, have you reviewed that letter and looked at the plat?
Yes, I have, sir.
Your recommendation?
My recommendation is that we appoint the board appoint the freeholders and they go out and view the road. And I would also encourage them to visit with the neighboring property owners to make sure they have no objections to the proposed vacation.
Any discussion, gentlemen? Is there a motion to that effect?
Mr. Chair, I move to appoint Patrick Garai, Richard Sides, and Creighton Coyle to go view the listed roads.
Moved and seconded. A roll call, Shelley?
Commissioner Paxson?
Yes.
Commissioner Day?
Yes.
Commissioner Hopkins?
Yes.
Motion is approved. Notice of intent to publish ordinance 21-003 approving M.A. and Sons Chili Products proposal for an economic development project.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm really excited to present this LIDA project because it is one of our farmers in Array. I think it's really exciting when we, any projects that we see come through from LIDA are exciting, but especially when it's a homegrown, family-owned business. So this is the process of starting their LIDA project. So once approved, you guys will have to, of course, have the public hearing in July and approve the ordinance and continue the process. But I'm very excited to present this specific item. So congratulations to the Garais in Array. Staff's recommendation to approve.
Any comments? That's your district.
No, I think interim manager Bartu said it perfectly. Her and I have had a discussion on it, and I always love seeing LIDA applications come across our desk, and this one just feels a little more closer to home. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay. Hank?
No, I move to approve.
All
Second.
right. Moved and seconded. A roll call, Shelley?
Commissioner Paxson?
Yes.
Commissioner Day?
Yes.
Commissioner Hopkins?
Yes.
Motion is approved. Policy 21-001, the grant program management. Ms. Bartu.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to call Virginia Lee up. She has a few things to talk about with this. And also, Dave, I don't know if you had any.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Well,
Okay, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, Ms. Manager, we need to put a grant program policy in place in order to pass any audits we have down the road. We do not qualify for any audits as of this time. Federally, you have to expend more than $750,000 in 1 year of grant funds in order to have a mandatory audit. Other audits are done periodically just to determine that you're keeping in policy. So basically, this is very generic, talking about the grant program, the finance department, what their responsibilities are, the treasurer, the procurement, and when you need an audit, and all that information that is required on the audit. And then if you have contracts, there's information about that. The fiscal management, program reporting, this is just very general information which comes out of the grant training that is put on by DOJ that is mandatory. The language, of course, can be changed if you don't like it, but it's just very generic. Asset management, we've already put a blurb about the grant asset management in the asset management procedure that we just put out about a month or so ago. And basically, that's anything with the value of more than $5,000 needs to be listed on an inventory log. They need to keep track of it, and you need to account for it. Anything about contractors, subcontractors, it needs to be following all of their policies. And also, their policies have information about if you're not in compliance, that you can't get the grant funding. And then there's the last section, there's information on closing out the grants and what's required of them. This is all available in the DOJ website and grants.gov, following their protocol, and the state falls in line for our state grants underneath the federal grants too. So, Mr. Pato?
Mr. Chairman, first of all, I wanted to thank Ms. Lee for putting together this policy. I think it clearly delineates the responsibilities of each of the departments and their role in implementing these grants, and I think that's very, very helpful. At the end of that policy, there's a reference to a checklist, an end-of-year closeout checklist. That's not attached. So I was hoping that we might be able to have that attached and included with the final minutes, so that way it's a full product, but otherwise it looks perfect. Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Questions?
Questions? No. Thank you, Virginia.
Thank you.
Staff recommendation to pass, sir.
Okay, with that recommendation, is there a motion?
Mr. Chair, I move to approve policy number 21-001.
For a second?
Moved and seconded. A roll call, Shelley?
Commissioner Paxson?
Yes.
Commissioner Day?
Yes.
Commissioner Hopkins?
Motion is approved. Contracts and agreements. Mr. Pierce, you want to come up and talk about wildlife services?
Good morning, Chairman, Commissioners, Manager, future Manager. First of all, I want to thank you all for your support this last year and thank the county for the support. I'm going into my 4th year as the county wildlife biologist, trapper, whatever you really want to call us, but it's been fantastic. And I have no intention of going anywhere, so hopefully you keep me around a little longer. But I've really enjoyed working in the county and working the ranches and the cooperators we have here. So every quarter I kind of put out a little report or an email, and you'll be seeing one of those, and you'll be seeing one of those as well coming up, and it kind of just gives an idea of what I've done or what we're doing and projects we're working on, and any concerns that we may have. This last quarter, I'm just going to go ahead and go through it right now. Our coyote work's about normal, like we've done in the past. We're kind of finishing up with our calving operations. Everything's starting to get a little bit bigger, and it's getting really hot. So some of those activities is just getting hard to do. Our coyotes are now, they got pups on the ground. They're kind of busy taking care of them, and their big concern right now is just water. So we'll readdress our coyote issues. Will come back here as soon as pups start getting old enough to hunt, and we'll start seeing those complaints come in. Usually with that, we'll see that with the urban and farm stuff. They'll go after the easy kind of stuff first, cats, watermelons, things of that kind of nature. But all the activity's been normal, nothing out of the ordinary there. I did do a lion project about 3 weeks ago down in the Lake Valley. That was actually, we had a confirmed predation of three cows there, and then some domesticated elk as well before we got involved on that. So we worked along with the game department on that. That lion was removed from that population. Did a coyote removal from the elementary school in Array, that along with game and fish. Those ones are always kind of fun because there's a lot of homework involved in that, and you just can't start setting traps. And and he's educated. So anyways, there's quite a large coyote population in any of those type farming communities, but this particular one just liked to be on the playground all the time, so we did a removal there as well. Our aerial program, I kind of addressed that earlier in the year. We have a new pilot. We've hired some new gunners. I went and watched them fly in Hidalgo and a couple other counties, and they're looking pretty good. So I was kind of hesitant to bring anything new because it does cost the cooperators a little bit of money to fly an airplane. And so I guess with that, I'm feeling pretty confident in that program and their abilities. So that is a tool that's available to us, not only for any kind of removal stuff or reconnaissance stuff or whatever we happen to be working. So kind of going into what we're working on right now, or what I'm working on right now. Like I said, it's kind of hot, so we're moving away from some of the calving stuff. Of course, we'll still address complaints, but we're working more on our farms, urban type stuff. I'm doing a little bit of outreaches with the Kids of the Southwest, an outreach program, which is it's a kids outdoors hunting fishing group. We just did a bass, well, they call it a bass tournament, but anyway, a fishing tournament on the butte about 3 weeks ago. So you take 60 kids fishing. It's a chore, but and then we're fixing to go up into Cloud Croft for a week where we'll do like wildlife identification, outdoor cooking, that kind of stuff. So there's a few of us involved in that. That's just something we do as an outreach with the agency. And then of course this time of year, as it gets hotter, we're focusing on training. So feel free to call me because it'll get me out of some of that training stuff. So, but it's stuff we got to do every year, just kind of normal stuff. And then, of course, everyone's favorite topic is the wolves. In this last quarter, I've addressed 5 different wolf complaints, 1 predation, confirmed predation, I guess, in the county. And then most of the other ones or actually all the other 4 they were wolf complaints, but they turned out to be something else. So it was either a coyote or 3 of those were domestic dogs. So that kind of stuff. We get a lot of that. People don't realize probably 2/3 of my calls are opposite of what someone really thinks it is. They're either blaming a coyote or something like that, and it turns out to be sometimes their own dog or or something, you know, or a lot of times you get hardware diseases or noxious weeds and that kind of stuff. So, of course, that's a lot of, you know, necropsies we're conducting and all that kind of stuff, but we'll get into all the details on that. Other than that, I thank you again for your support. I hope for work for you all in the future. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you. I got a couple.
Go ahead.
Thank you first of all for all the work you've done. Have you received any calls about a bear in Uray?
Not yet, but it wouldn't surprise me. So I mean, it's hot, and we have 0 rain, so the bear stuff should be hitting. I mean, I'm expecting it, knock on wood, but if you, I mean, feel free to forward that. You have my phone number, my cell phone number.
I just shared it, just so you know.
Okay, good.
So you'll be getting a phone call.
Okay, perfect. And yeah, this time of year we usually get quite a few bear calls, and we'll work along with the game department. Normally, those bears we end up just live catching, and then they wake up with a headache somewhere, and then we see them again next year. Usually, so it's usually the same bears over and over. But.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Well, Ray, I think our money is well spent. We're glad that you've settled into the community and become a part of us, and your work is excellent, so we appreciate that. Any further discussion on the work and financial plan? Is there a recommendation?
I move to approve the work and financial plan between the Sierra County and USD Animal and Plant Health Inspection Service, Wildlife Services.
Second.
Moved and seconded.
Commissioner Paxton?
Yes.
Commissioner Day?
Yes.
Commissioner Hopkins?
Yes.
I guess I'll go work a bear. So.
Thanks, Ray.
Thanks, Ray.
Local Government Road Fund Cooperative Agreement, we got a whole bunch of them, but L100516 is bar 2.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. These cooperative agreements we see yearly, so there are projects that we get through the New Mexico Department of Transportation, and we see the 3 of them there. So the first one being for $173,333. The second one, I'm just going to go through all 3 of them.
Yep.
Is in the amount of $168,000. The third one being for $164,373. Staff recommendation to approve. These were laid out a little differently. Usually I'm used to seeing like the special projects, the school bus projects. They really didn't list them that way this year. Billy's here in case we have any questions as far as which ones are which, because like I said, they did not lay them out as they normally do this year.
Yeah, that was the only confusing thing to me.
Me too.
But we are going to cover some roads in Winston with these agreements. Billy, you want to come up and kind of tell us what each of the 3 agreements is going to accomplish?
Yeah, so the first one you see there is for 173, that is our school bus project on that one there. The next one, 168, is our special project, and the 164 is for the capital. Okay. And so the roads we're going to be doing next year, we're going to try doing all the way around Winston, the town of Winston. It's kind of a loop there. It's all getting pretty bad. We got to fix some shoulders, rechip all of it. And I believe there's 4 roads in between that loop that we're gonna base course and chip those also. They're kind of a really burden to maintain. Lots of driveways to deal with and vehicles parked out in the roadway, and so that'll really help with that. And that'll also get chipped up to our transfer station in Winston, which will help us when it gets pretty slippery when it gets raining and snowing up there. That'll also go out, I think the same road goes out a little further to another residence, crosses a creek. We'll put a low water crossing in there, and that's a pretty bad, it crosses Poverty Creek there, so that's becomes a pretty big issue when it rains. Part of this also, I'm not exactly sure which one of these projects are going where, right off the top of my head, but some of this will also be going to Palomas. We're going to try chip sealing, re-chipping Las Palomas Canyon south side as far as we can get with the money we got. So we did secure a pit a month ago or so and that'll be helping us with all of our chips, so we can buy a little more oil. So we're not real sure how far that's going to help us out in the long run, but we should be getting a couple more miles, hopefully, out of what we can save out of that.
Well, that's one of the primary things the commission is about, is maintaining roads, so. Yep. Attorney Pato, can we vote on all three at once, or do we need to consider each one?
Mr. Chairman, you're absolutely free to vote on all three at once.
Okay. So is there a motion to consider 516, 502, and 511?
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the 3 local government road fund cooperative agreements.
A second?
Moved and seconded. A roll call. Shelley?
Commissioner Paxson,
Yes.
Commissioner Day,
Yes.
Commissioner Hopkins.
Yes.
Thank you. That motion is approved. Fire brush truck for Hillsborough Volunteer Fire Department, Manager Bartu and EMO Williams. Come on up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. I'll be representing for our Chief Procurement Officer, Jocelyn Holguin. We had a while back, Hillsborough Volunteer Fire Department was looking to procure a new brush truck. The county issued an invitation to bid for the truck. We had several vendors put in for a bid, and Pete's Equipment out of Albuquerque was awarded the bid. They followed all qualifications, specifications to meet compliance for this brush truck. And if anyone's not familiar with a brush truck, a lot of the departments have some that are outdated, but need more. But it's more. A lot of people refer to them as wildland, but you'll see it's a heavier duty pickup truck with a different. It's a pump apparatus and a tank on the back. It's not like a structural engine. And a lot of our outlying communities is like Hillsborough, Kingston, Winston, Poverty Creek. They're in an area we call the urban interface. You're surrounded by more trees, heavier fuels. It's not a suburban area. It's more of a rural area. So that's more of their threat and their risk out there. So they got awarded. Pete's Equipment will be building that out for them at this time, which is really good. Hillsborough is in need of that at this time, and actually the Drummond and Trujillo fires has kind of expressed that need for their communities over there. But any questions on this?
Ryan, these engines are bought from their funds that they reserve and carry over, so it's the volunteer.
Correct, yes, sir. Hillsborough has the available funds for the purchase.
Okay. Any questions? Is there a motion?
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the invitation to bid number 2021-04-013.
Second?
Moved and seconded. A roll call. Shelley?
Commissioner Paxson,
Yes.
Commissioner Day,
Yes.
Commissioner Hopkins.
Yes.
Motion is approved. Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you all very much.
You bet. Small purchase for a road department dump truck. Ms. Bartu?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to defer to Attorney Pato. I know there's been some discussions about this, so I think they're due for dialogue on this item.
Mr. Chairman, I hate to do this, and Billy and I have been talking the last week or two or three, visiting with our CPO regarding this purchase. And as we've discussed this, it appeared as though we could use the small purchase mechanism to purchase this dump truck because it was below that threshold at $60,000. However, there's a separate statutory provision that requires that when you purchase used equipment that you issue an IFB, and that's not been done here. And we want to keep everything straight. Billy and I have talked about potentially finding alternate mechanisms by which to secure the purchase, whether through one of the other county road superintendents, and I provided the contact information for the NMC so we can get on that listserv and reach out to them and do a blast to purchase under their contract, whether or not there might be a available truck under the state purchase agreement or the state price agreement. But unfortunately, we just cannot. We can't do this, and I hate to do anything that's going to inhibit Billy's ability to do his job. He has a very important job to do, but unfortunately, we just can't effectuate the small purchase. So what I'm going to ask for at this time is that the board authorize the county to move forward with the purchase once we identify a valid legal mechanism by which to effectuate that purchase. And that way, we don't have to wait till the next county commission meeting to get this done. We can hopefully get this done in the interim. And again, I apologize to Billy for that delay, and I understand the thought process behind the statute requiring the the bids, even though it doesn't hit that $60,000 threshold. I don't think they want people buying items from their friends. There's an exception for if you buy it at auction or, and not that Billy was proposing to buy it from a friend, but this provision was intended to secure against fraud, and so that's why they require the IFB. That you're supposed to do the IFB as if it were new, but we will find an alternate mechanism for Billy to use, and we'll make sure he gets the equipment that he needs to do his job. So with that, I would again request the permission or authorization from the board to move forward once we secure a legal mechanism by which to move forward with that purchase.
Question, Billy, are you without a dump truck right now?
No, sir, we have 4 dump trucks. They're just falling apart.
Yeah.
A few of them are getting pretty unsafe to be driving, so, I think the newest dump truck we have is a 2000. So they're all 20 years old or older, and it's just time for some new ones.
Well, Commissioners, what's your pleasure on this?
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
If there's no discussion, I move to authorize administration to move forward with the selection of the contract, or to move forward with the purchase of the dump truck after the invitation to bid process.
A second.
Moved and seconded. A roll call, Shelley?
Commissioner Paxson,
Yes.
Commissioner Day,
Yes.
Commissioner Hopkins,
Yes.
That motion is approved. Do you need interim rental while this is in the works?
We're not real sure yet. I think we got 2 trucks that are going to work, and I think we have it in the budget enough to get a couple from Bar 2.
Okay.
I haven't had them trucks roll, and if need be, Benny Fuentes from the city road department said that they could loan us a couple of trucks also. So
Okay.
we work together.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, this money is coming from an appropriation. The
Right.
language does not call specifically for the rental of equipment, so it has to be watched very diligently how we spend that money.
Okay. Well, we want to keep you on the road working.
Yeah, well, we'll work it out. We will.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Contract between Sierra County and Charlene Webb, County Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. What we have before us is the contract for employment between Sierra County and Charlene Webb, the upcoming county manager. So I'm very excited for you all. She seems like a very wonderful person. I've had the opportunity to spend some time with her, and it's staff's recommendation for this to pass.
Attorney Pato, you have anything to add?
Mr. Chairman, no, I'm just very excited to get to work with Ms. Webb. Thank you so much.
We agree. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded to accept the contract between Sierra County and Charlene Webb as the county manager. A roll call vote, Shelley?
Commissioner Paxson,
Yes.
Commissioner Day,
Yes.
Commissioner Hopkins.
Yes.
That motion is approved. Charlene, we sure look forward to working with you, and we're awaiting your permanent arrival. I want to take just a second to editorialize, because we cajoled and conspired and worked very hard, and our attorney Dave Pato was a major part of getting Serena to come out of retirement. And Serena came out with the intention of helping the county through the time between County Manager Bruce Swingle and for whenever we fill the county manager's job. And that time has come and gone, and you have been such a breath of fresh air and such a cooperator, coordinator, drawing all people together. You've done an excellent job.
Thank you, sir.
So we know we got you for 2 more days this month.
Yes, sir.
And that has helped us in immeasurable ways to keep the county going. So I don't know, you gentlemen have anything to say?
I echo what he said. We're very fortunate to have you step in at a very uncomfortable time, and I think you did excellent job, so thank you.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
Mr. Chair, Hank kind of stole my thunder there, so just want to apologize for being a pain during the budget process.
No, you were fine.
But thank you.
I really appreciated it, so thank you guys.
Thank you. We'll go on to appropriation 21-ZP9157 by DFA in the amount of $57,000.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. I know that Senator Crystal Diamond worked really diligently on this, and I know that Sheriff Hamilton has a few words, so I'll defer to him.
Thank you, Madam Manager. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. As Ms. Bartu indicated, this was as a result of a conversation. I was contacted by Senator Diamond during the most recent regular session, the 60-day session. She had some discretionary funds, and she wanted to make sure that all of her law enforcement in her particular area, in her particular district, had the most up-to-date, current, and state-of-the-art soft body armor. As you remember, during our budget talks, we had talked about we didn't have the money to do this last year. This was due and overdue, and so she really came through. Senator Diamond came through in a pinch. Again, just without even knowing what our needs were, called me up and said, you know, how are you guys fixed for body armor? And she says, and I want to make sure that you guys have the state-of-the-art, top-of-the-line stuff out there that you need. This isn't just for the sheriff's office. This is also so that we can purchase it for the local police department and many of the other regional law enforcement agencies within her district. So, again, we thank Senator Diamond for her consideration on this and for putting us in for this. And we were just waiting on this award. So, we thank you if you move this forward.
Sheriff, there's a life on body armor, is there not? Especially in the warmer climes where there's a lot of sweat and degradation of the materials.
Mr. Chairman, the normal shelf life of a standard body armor, soft body armor, Kevlar, breaks down with moisture. The average shelf life is about 5 years. Matter of fact, the BVP grant or ballistic vest grant under the federal guidelines that we qualify is an every 5-year grant. The problem is with a lot of the moisture that we deal with here in New Mexico with our dry climate and our 100+ days throughout the summer, we've found that our body armor breaks down about every 3.5 years. So we normally try to get those on a more, we're always looking for funding to get those on a more a rapid transition period rather than waiting the 5 years for them. There may be some that actually will last that 5 years, but when it comes to soft body armor and what it does out there and what it's supposed to do and designed to do, we don't like taking those kind of chances. So about every 3.5 years.
Did I see in this grant that detention is also going to get some body armor?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. For those detention agencies that actually have armed transports or provide their staff with body armor, we'll also be reaching out to those agencies as well.
That's good. That's good. Anything else, gentlemen?
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the appropriation number 21-ZF9157 by DFA in the amount of $57,000.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Roll call, Shelley?
Commissioner Paxson?
Yes.
Commissioner Day?
Yes.
Commissioner Hopkins?
Yes.
Motion is approved. Thank you. We'll go to resolutions, ordinances, and proclamations. Resolution 109-084, opposing the federal government's 30 by 30 land preservation goal.
Mr. Chairman, I can introduce this if
Okay.
Ms. Bartu would like.
So
back in January of earlier this year, President Joe Biden issued Executive Order 14008 entitled Tackling the Climate Crisis at Home and Abroad. And in that order, he directed the Secretary of the Interior, in consultation with the Secretary of Agriculture and other senior officials, to develop a program to conserve at least 30% of the lands and waters in the United States by 2030. This is called the 30 by 30 program. And under this program, 600 million acres of our nation's lands would be set aside and permanently preserved in their natural state, preventing the productive use of these lands and their resources. I've been unable to identify any statutory or constitutional authority for this order. The program, if implemented, is likely to cause significant harm to the county injure the county's businesses and citizens by depriving them of access to public lands and National Forest System lands and preventing the productive use of these lands' resources, particularly given that the federal government presently owns over 67% of land within Sierra County. Among other things, this resolution opposes the implementation of this program. And I stand for any question you might have.
Just because there's some of that useless trivia that's in your brain, the U.S. Forest Service manages 191 million acres. So this is 3 times over the amount of national forest that we have in the entire nation. Wow. And it's just, it's taken those acres out of any use. No logging, no grazing, no mining, no management. And I just think that this is a travesty. I would like to make one change,
please,
Attorney Pato. On the second page of this resolution, it'd be the next to the last whereas. It reads, the withdrawal of some 680 million acres of federal lands for multiple use and placement of such lands in permanent conservation. Let's strike conservation and make that preservation. Conservation is the wise use of lands administered by those who are scientists and technicians on the ground. So let's call it out for what it is.
Absolutely, Mr. Chairman. Happy to make that change.
Comments, gentlemen?
No, Mr. Chair. Thank you for that amendment. I was seeing that as well. This is being sold as a conservation tool by the Biden administration, leaders in the Biden administration and the special interest groups. This is anything but that.
Yeah.
This is locking up lands for any use, for grazing, logging, any multiple use. In fact, right now, and then Hank, you probably know this in your experience, it takes about 3 to 4 years to get even a pipeline across BLM land.
Yeah.
And that's fast. That's quick.
Or a fence.
Or a fence, exactly. With something like this, that 4 years is going to be easy to handle. We're looking at 10, 15 years, if even allowed. But one thing I do also want to bring up is, this isn't just looking at federal lands. There's something called the Conservation Reserve Program through the NRCS. And typically, it's a volunteer program that would allow people to let their land go fallow, for conservation efforts. But there's also been instances in Nebraska where they've actually locked this land up for anything. The rancher couldn't do anything. So even though he voluntarily went into this program and approved the guidelines that he was given, the federal government came back in later on and put more restrictions and more restrictions and more restrictions to where now his private land he couldn't do anything on for a much longer period of time than he anticipated.
That's wrong.
So this is also an impact not just on public lands but also private lands. But this is such a dangerous thing for the country. Very dangerous.
Yes, it is. Comments, Mr. Hopkins?
No, I agree. It's the federal government's always trying to poke and prod in ways of disrupting our lives, and I'm not for it.
Well, it would be devastating to the county of Sierra for all of our agriculture interests, and I think the impacts, it mentions in here that water's in there too, so we sure need to protect that. So I think we're all on the same page. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chair, before I make the motion, if I may, can we get a signed copy of this to the New Mexico Cattle Growers Association? Because I know they're kind of leading the charge on opposing this in New Mexico. So if we can do that, Mr. Chair, I move to approve Resolution 109-084 as presented, as amended.
Second.
Moved and seconded. A roll call, Shelley?
Commissioner Paxson,
Absolutely, yes.
Commissioner Day,
Yes.
Commissioner Hopkins.
Yes.
That motion is approved. Resolution 109-085 in support of Protecting Americans from Foreign Criminals Act.
Mr. Chairman.
And Attorney Pato.
Mr. Chairman, I'll take this if Ms. Bartu Sola.
Thank you, Dave.
So recently, Representative Harrell has introduced the Protecting Americans from Foreign Criminals Act of 2021. And this act proposes to require that the Department of Homeland Security conduct a comprehensive criminal history background check of an illegal alien prior to releasing them from custody, which check will include criminal history databases in the United States, criminal history databases in the alien's country of origin, and each country of transit the alien entered on their way into the United States. The legislation would prohibit DHS from releasing any alien prior to the adjudication of their immigration status, or if the results of the background check demonstrate that the alien has ties to criminal gangs, terrorist organizations, been convicted or has pending charges in the United States, their country of origin, or countries through which they've transited. Finally, the legislation would require a completion of a worldwide review to determine whether DHS has the ability to access criminal history databases of any country to perform the background checks that meet the standards of the FBI for criminal history databases maintained by state and local governments, and would prohibit the DHS's release from custody any alien who originated from or transited through such country. This resolution expresses the county's support of Representative Harrell's legislation.
Questions or comments?
No, I move to approve resolution number 109-085.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Roll call, Shelley?
Commissioner Paxson?
Yes.
Commissioner Day?
Yes.
Commissioner Hopkins?
Yes.
That motion is approved. Resolution 109-086, designating location of polling places for statewide elections.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll defer to County Clerk Trujillo.
Thank you. This is a resolution that has to be done in the odd-numbered years. The only thing that has changed is we changed from the Winston Fire Station to the Winston Country Church as our polling location in Winston.
Better access, and it does have handicaps, so that's good.
Yes.
That's good. With that, is there a...
Mr. Chair, I move to approve resolution 109-086, designating the location of polling places for all the statewide elections.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Roll call?
Commissioner Paxson?
Yes.
Commissioner Day?
Yes.
Commissioner Hopkins?
Yes.
Thank you.
That motion is approved. Resolution 109-087 on participation in local government road fund program and request for match waiver. So, Ms. Bartu.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Along with our cooperative agreements, we usually see these resolutions following them. We're just asking that the Department of Transportation waive our match. Specifically on this project, the total amount of the project is $164,373. 25% of that would be $41,093. So staff recommendation to pass as presented.
Mr. Chair, if I may, can we go over all three and then
Yes.
do all at once?
Please. The second one being for $173,333, match of 25% being $43,333. The third one being $168,000, 25% match of $42,000.
Any questions or comments? Is there a motion?
Mr. Chair, I move to approve resolutions 109-087, 109-088, and 109-089 as presented.
I second.
Moved and seconded. A roll call, Shelley?
Commissioner Paxson?
Yes.
Commissioner Day?
Yes.
Commissioner Hopkins?
Yes.
The three motions are approved. We're pretty much to the end of our regular time. Is there a motion to go into executive session?
Mr. Chair, I move to go in executive session pursuant to Section 10-15 E through H to discuss matters in regards of pending and threatened litigation, personnel, and real estate reasons as listed on the agenda.
I second.
Moved and seconded. A roll call, Shelley?
Commissioner Paxson?
Yes.
Commissioner Day?
Yes.
Commissioner Hopkins?
Yes.
We are in executive session. We'll come out of executive session. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chair, I move to come out of executive session and certify that no action was taken and only matters listed on the agenda were discussed.
I second.
Moved and seconded. A roll call, Shelley?
Commissioner Paxton?
Yes.
Commissioner Day?
Yes.
Commissioner Hopkins?
Yes.
Motion is approved. We have one item regarding Sierra County versus Smith Code, do we not, Attorney Pato?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I would just seek authority in the amount we discussed in executive session
Okay, and that's for the mediation?
for the mediation
For
outcome.
mediation. Is there a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All, roll call, Shelley?
Commissioner Paxton?
Yes.
Commissioner Day?
Yes.
Commissioner Hopkins?
Yes.
Do we have any other business before the commission?
Move to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
I second.
Seconded, we are adjourned.